Welcome back. The 2024 Kickstart Invitational Podcast, Episode 3, where we dive into the Kickstart Invitational. I am your host, of course, Kyle Steffi, alongside Carter and Justin McPhail. In each episode, we're going to be bringing in exclusive insights, player profiles, behind-the-scenes interviews, and expert analysis of the latest developments of the Kickstart Invitational, joined by our special guest, Dan Hendo Henderson. Fellas, how are everyone doing in this chat today?
I'm doing good.
Doing good, man.
We're excited, Kyle. Thanks for having us on again. Thanks for being our MC, running the ones and twos.
Carter, do you got a Sprite bottle ready to deep throat for us?
Listen, man. All right. Did you get that or no?
That's it. That's your defense.
Moving on. All right, here we go.
Before we get started, we do have a quick ad read from our sponsor, who Carter is going to read now.
This episode 3, is brought to you by Dunham Sports, your ultimate outdoor and sporting destination. Whether you're into hunting, fishing, or loving every day, Dunham's has everything you need. Right now, use code Kickstart24 for an exclusive 20% off on all golf gear and accessories. Exclusions may apply. Don't miss out on the fun. Visit Dunham's in-store or online at dunhamsports.com. Dunham's, where the great outdoors meets unbeatable savings.
All I can think about when Carter says outdoors is that one guy. Do you guys see the meme of the guy that was swimming in the fish tank? I don't know if it was out of Dunham's or not.
Oh, yeah, Bass
Pro.
Pro
That Bass Pro?
Yeah.
It's a new one. I'll have to look into that.
Oh, damn.
Into that fish
the rumor is that it was guerrilla marketing by Bass Pro.
You think so? To get their name out there? Wow. Wow. But that's write that down. That's a potential brood for us. We might have to do some research on that.
I'm just saying that
nothing but hot takes on this pod.
That's gonna get clicks. I mean, you remember the Bud Light sent those two well off upstairs ladies to the
that's
series.
true. That's true. The well endowed
intentionally got them kicked out, and that blew up and generated a lot of clicks. So
that's true.
You know what they say? Cash was king, and now clicks are king.
And clicks are king. And the 50% viewership drop off from the first to second Kickstart episode, you guys better be sending these to your wives, your kids, your fucking dog. I don't care. But a 50% viewership drop off is sickening.
That's crazy. That's
sickening.
That's not. Did everybody from the trip even watch? Did we even reach 13 views?
We did reach 13 views. We ended with 15.
That's tough. That's tough, you guys.
Yeah. Either Carter and Chase don't bring the clicks, or we fell off, or our viewers suck. One of the three things happened. I don't know.
I'm leaning towards number 3.
We don't care about viewers.
You're right. We don't care about viewership. So, jumping into it, obviously, Dan, new guest on the show, was a rookie last year, heading into his second season. Obviously, one-time champion, my partner for 3 of the rounds. Dan Hendo is a pleasure to be around, a happy guy. Might have had the most iconic moment of Kickstart season number 2. Dan, welcome to the show. How are you feeling? What are you excited about this year?
First off, thanks for having me, boys. Truly an honor. I did not know about the views being down. It sounded like you guys were primed for a first guest anyways. So
yeah. We need a little bump.
I'm gonna throw some spark into this, but no, it was good. That was probably the first, other than Justin's bachelor party, the first kind of boys trip golf outing thing that I've ever been a part of. I really don't have a ton of my friends from growing up that are super into golf, so it was nice to meet Justin through hockey, and then it's turned into this whole other friendship group that I have. So I'm pumped to definitely improve upon last year's Kickstart performance. Kyle, you kept me calm and cool for parts of it when I was losing my head. So, and then I played with Carter the last day and took care of business. So
Dan, people forget this is a team game as much as golf and the PGA Tour is a individual sport. This is very much a team game. It's a Kickstart Invitational, and God damn it, you played your part. You were a little slow to start off, and as the stats will show, Justin will tell us later, shit picked up.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that.
Oh yeah,
we're gonna get to that because you guys get a lot of run for that half in the afternoon at Diamond Springs, but I think the people that have been crunching the numbers might have some other things to say about your pairing, because the stats don't exactly show or that last round doesn't show the full picture that the stats do, I think. And but we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Dan, we're happy to have you on. We're happy to have you back, and for sure we're glad that this is one of your first golf trips, and I hope it spoils every other one you take after the Kickstart.
I mean, we've started out with this, like there's nothing that's gonna top this, and this is only gonna get better. So
yeah, we're at the ceiling. There's no, I'll toot my horn. Everybody can toot their horns. We can get in a big horn tooting circle.
Well, we gotta raise the ceiling now. We'll raise the roof action. So
yeah, we're gonna do some additions onto this trip for sure.
Yeah. So before we dig into the player profile that is Dan Hendo, I did want to ask you, Dan. Obviously, like we've just mentioned, like the Kickstart has taken a life of its own. I don't think when Carter, Justin, and Cullen were talking about this a couple years ago that it was going to turn into what it did, let alone the growth that we all see it heading towards. What about the Kickstart gives it magic to you?
Just the group, like to be able to think that I am an okay golfer and then join the monks of you and just look super average. Like you guys make me want to play better because I look mid out there. It's sometimes embarrassing. I think I definitely had the worst tee shot off the first tee, the day one. I saw the group in front of me pipe 4 down the middle, and here I am thinking, cool, gotta do that too. And no, it's I forget what your question was. I'm just ranting. Sorry.
It's about the camaraderie more than it is the competition for you, is what it sounds like.
It's just being with the guys, like after a round, even the Sunday night we did the draft, like just being with the guys and coming together as a group, and then get going out the next day and trying to play the best golf you can. And if you're not playing, you got a buddy in the cart with you that's gonna hopefully bring you up and tell you, I need you. You got to hit a clutch shot here, stuff like that. And yeah, that, like you said, Kyle, that's where the team game part of it comes in, and you never want to let your teammate down. So it kind of makes you dial in a little bit more. So.
Yeah, I was talking about it with Marla, my girlfriend Marla, last week. The older we get, the less competitive juices we get to expunge on our lives, and this is a good outlet for that. It's a lot of camaraderie to me, but it's also getting dirty, getting gritty with it, talking a little bit of shit, a little birdie juice after a good hole. It's a fun trip that we can't replicate in our day-to-day lives. So I agree with you there.
Maybe some net eagle juice occasionally. Just throwing that out there.
Ooh. Well, and it's all in good fun, but I gotta say it feels good to get some dubs every once in a while,
Yeah.
Like you might play some pickup basketball, you might play some beer league hockey here and there, but it's always good to get a dub, whether it's in a match or whether it's the whole, whether it's taking home Preston's Kickstart Cup, but it's, it always feels good when you get a win, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. For sure.
Dan, hold on now.
All right.
Dan, I know you said you had a tough tee shot on the first hole of the weekend.
I did.
Do you remember what you said? Do you remember what you said to Kyle on the second tee?
I said
of the weekend.
I said based off that first tee shot, I said this is either going to go 300 yards or it's going to go 30 yards. and I'm pretty sure I recall unlike Cullen, I remember almost every shot. I think it went 40 yards, dead into a tree, pinballed around, and came back to probably 15, 20 yards to the right of that second tee box. Went for the hero shot, tried to hit like a punch 4-iron, chunked it into the fairway. No, chunked it into the rough short of the fairway. Chunked it again into the fairway. Then I finally hit a good iron shot, and here Carter, Mac, Jake, and Fetty were on the tee box behind us, and I think Transit hit like a 395-yard drive that cleared my first 4 balls by like 50 yards. I think it went humming right down over my head while I was standing at the bottom of the hill. So.
Oh my God, I did not
I will
know.
say-
I
It was
knew
a
about
rough-
the one off the
it was a
first
rough
tee. I did
start.
not know about the preceding events on number 2 tee.
Dude, I didn't actually hit a good shot until the 4th tee shot. I think it was that drivable par 4.
Mhm.
It landed in between 4 green and 3 tee box, and all I had to do was hit like a wedge on, and I think I bladed it and went all the way across the green and gone forever. Meanwhile, Cody's holing out from behind a tree.
Yeah.
Like what?
Dan and I were
I'm picking
looking
that
for
guy
our
first
balls in
overall.
these bushes, thinking that we have some slim chance, and then Cody chips up and on and in, and that was tough.
Scoop
think
them up, boys. Let's move on.
The best part was there was an older group behind Carter's group, and they were on 3 tee waiting to tee off, and they saw where my drive landed, and they was like, "That was your tee shot? Wow, good shot!" And then they watched me blade that wedge. Awesome.
When that ball hit the tree coming off 2 tee box, I was just on the other side of the woods and I hit the deck. I was teleported back to Vietnam and I didn't even go. That thing was loud.
So unlike the first tee shot on the first hole where I didn't get all of it, I got all of this one. I just dead pull. So
Yep, just pull.
So before Jay jumps into the player profile that is Dan, I do want to talk about what happened before we get to the stats and the memories talked about in the profile. Obviously, Carter, leader of the team that drafted Dan. Carter, what were your thoughts on Dan going into draft day, and kind of how did they flip as the week went on?
I'm not gonna lie. I was talking to my advisory staff before, trying to get a mock-up done, and Dan was a guy that I had slotted to not draft. Quite honestly, I thought, I'm not picking him. I'm either getting him at the end when he's the only guy left, if I make a trade, and then if it comes down to it, I'm not gonna pick him. Unfortunately, or I guess fortunately, there was some fireworks on draft night. Some trades went this way and that way, and I was left with the 2 guys at the bottom of the barrel. And those 2 guys ended up bringing home more points than I did. And we needed those guys and those depth guys. So, I'll take the blame and say I may have misjudged it, but I think Preston may have misjudged it a little bit more.
Which is the important piece, right? You were left with the both of us. We were the unwanted people of it, and some would argue we were the most electric team out there. Some of those rounds, we brought electricity to the course, and I can assure you, I wasn't doing it alone. Dan had to be there for that electricity to spark.
I think maybe you guys absorbed all the electricity. There was you guys went up against some electric groups and kind of absorbed the bulk of it and came out with the points that the conductors needed. I think you guys were sort of the anti-conductors. You weren't conducting anything.
just each other. That's it.
That's right. Yeah.
It was Kyle like reviving me, like, wake up, Dan, like, come back to life.
That went both ways because I actually stink at golf, whereas most everybody else in this group is good at golf, and we found a way to get hot at different times. It was a lot of revival between the both of us, which was fun. But Jay, run us through the Dan Hendo player profile. Tell us the story through the stats, and tell us the story with the story.
Yeah, the first thing, you know, this is sort of your back of the baseball card, you know, information. You're a 29-year-old guy up here from Traverse City. Last year he played as a 12 handicap. Filled out his information card, and Diamond Springs was his favorite course on the trip. His favorite course he's played is the Wolverine at the Grand Traverse Resort. It's a great place, not too dissimilar from Diamond Springs. You got some slopey greens, some firm sort of wide fairways, and you know he definitely knows his strengths and weaknesses. He's eligible for captaincy, obviously not this year, but after 2 years of participation, he'll be eligible next year. A big group of eligible captains next year. Almost everybody's going to be eligible. He's got a career record of 1-1-2 that includes his singles record of 1-0. Won that singles match last year. Scoring average ranked 10th right now. He's looking to bring that down, of course. Strokes gained total, though, right around the middle. He's hovering 7th right now. That does include Michael Bomarito, who didn't participate, so he was 6th out of 12 last year. His career low round was a 76 in that singles match. Really came through big for his team last year, winning that. And then his best strokes gained round was that match. So with that plus 2.25, you know, he for sure had a chance to beat almost anybody in that round, right? So that reflects, not only did he beat his man, but he played some really good golf, right? It wasn't given to him. So the other thing is his golf update. I'll let Dan take it from here. What are you looking for, Dan, from last year to this year? Whether it's some instruction, you know, different preparation leading in, different clubs, different equipment, that sort of stuff. What are you expecting? It's going to be different for your golf game outside of just how well you're going to play going into 2024.
I would say, just obviously with Michigan weather, it's tough to get the reps in that you need this time of year. I do what I can. I play in the indoor league on Tuesday nights up here. Just anyone in golf seeking consistency. You know, it doesn't matter if you know you hit the giant swooping fade, like, you just play your fade. Me, I'm learning to kind of dial it back off the tee a little bit. You don't always have to hit the driver. I can hit a 4-iron.
Gain some control. Sounds good.
Yeah, I can hit a 4-iron, you know, decently far. Sometimes it's better to be 250 or 240 in the middle of the fairway than 300 in the trees. So, doing that, you got me fitted into a new Paradigm 3-wood and a couple new wedges. I had just whipped out for the first time at the Kickstart last year, so another full year of using those clubs. And then yeah, like, goals for the year, trying to be just better around the green. I just think 3 putting is an absolute must. No 3 putts. Like, it just can't happen. It'll happen
for sure, especially in match play, right? You don't want to have to, not only do you not want to have to putt that second putt, but having to putt that third one either for the tie or, you know, whatever it's going to be. You don't want to be doing that, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I feel like I have the length to potentially get on a long par 4 or a par 5 and 2. So the chances of you being right around the pins probably not that high. So being able to lag up that, 40-foot putt to a makeable distance and then burying it from there is going to be a huge goal. I think I was on and 2 a couple par 5s. I ended up parring or
Yeah,
her worst probably on one of them. So
I think everyone on the trip would agree you're one of the longest, if not the longest player in the event. So if you're hitting more greens and putting a little bit less, you're going to be real dangerous for sure.
we'll give that to probably my former captain, potentially future captain, and I'd give it to Tricky too. He can move the ball. So
Yeah, couple of big hitters, but I'd put you up right up there with them for sure, for sure. I wanna drop in a couple other statistics here, because I think they tell a good part of the story that Diamond Springs round in the morning. You guys were able to did you guys get a tie in the morning of that Diamond Springs as well?
yeah.
Is that what happened? Yeah. So that's a big thing. Looking at the strokes gained by round, you guys lost 4.8 strokes. You, Dan, and Kyle lost 6.8 to the field, and we're able to get a half out of that. And then in the afternoon, turn around and as a team, kind of flip that back on its head. And Dan, you were able to gain 0.65 strokes, and Kyle only lost 1.65. So turned it around in the afternoon for sure, and all of a sudden played better than field average, and we're able to get those two ties. Like we talked about, those the record maybe doesn't reflect how good you guys really were. Going, what were you guys? 0-1 and 2 as a team. But those 2 half points, like having everybody come down that last hole together, and you guys pulling out a half and putting the conductors, right back in the fight was huge, obviously, for our team. We were all on that team, but huge for the competition too. It's always exciting to see something like that happen coming down the stretch. And it's different if we all finish up and ride out to find you guys out there, and you're like, yeah, we played okay, but our match is already over. We lost 4-3 or whatever, right? That becomes a totally different night if that match doesn't mean all that much, right? So pretty exciting stuff. There's other stats in here. Your scoring average, when we talk about it being 10th total on the trip, to me it just says that you're getting the absolute most out of your holes, right? You're winning holes, and then the holes that where you're not in, that's where your blowups happen, and that's why having a steady partner like Kyle probably makes you a lot bigger threat than having a partner maybe like Carter, who's also volatile like that. So we'll see what happens. I'm interested to talk to Chase and see where he has you ranked. I'm interested to talk to Brendan. Obviously, we know he's come on as a consultant for the conductors, but also I'd like to pick his brain on potential mock draft coming up here and see kind of where people are ranking you, because personally, and I know as a partner, I would rank you pretty high. You'd be a guy that I'd want to go out there and play a few rounds with and have by my side, especially for that distance and for that volatility. Like you're saying, you can get on the par fives in two. If you're going to, improve your putting throughout this winter, having a club in your hand all day, once a week or something like that, it's a big advantage on a lot of the guys who aren't able to do that. So I'd love to have you as a partner, whatever team I end up on. Hopefully I get Dan Henderson, because I'd like to play some golf with the guy.
Little
Yeah.
draft day trades. I can see those coming again. Those days aren't over. So
yeah, absolutely.
I'll jump in here. Like Justin said, we brought we being the conductors. Obviously, me and Chase are the only ones who know what team we're going to be on. My team, I brought on Brendan as a special advisor to me, and today, the day of recording this, he came to me and told me that he sent out a little interview questionnaire for the guys to kind of gauge where everyone's at and how they're feeling and what they thought. And one of the questions here, Dan, they answered today was the best thing you would bring to your future team at this upcoming Kickstart. You said great team guy, whatever the team needs, energy, calming presence, natural leader, and becoming more clutch as of late. And I'm looking here at that fourth round at Pilgrims. I was obviously sitting beside you in the cart, and to describe the round between you and Austin, it was up and down. Come out of the gate, you make a 7, lose to Austin 6, you're down 1, but you don't panic. You turn around, win 3 holes in a row. Give 2 more up. Don't hit the panic button. Give 2 up, tie, use your dot, win another one. Win another one. Gets going into the back 9, tied 10, and you lose 2 back to back. All of a sudden, it's tied again, and you turn around and you win 3 holes in a row and basically put that thing out of reach. How do you, kind of going back and looking at it, how do you find a way to stay level-headed and not give in to the ups and downs of singles match golf?
Well, before we get into that, I would like to say that Mr. Esser that I played against, I know from what I had heard from the prior days in the Kickstart, I didn't get the best Austin Esser. And I hope one day I get that. Maybe I perform a little better, make it a little more competitive. I'm thankful I was able to capitalize on some holes that he was struggling on a little bit, but when he wasn't struggling, it usually would coincide with me struggling. I feel like there was a turning point when a certain ranger on the golf course at Pilgrims Run got me fired up. We played probably the fastest 3 holes of golf, normal golf, that I remember, and I think I was pretty dialed in actually for those 3. As soon as I settled back in, I gave myself a little too much time to think about my next shot. So maybe I just need to start firing away more often. But no, to stay calm, like I'm not the best golfer. So I know the shots I'm capable of hitting. So if I don't hit it, just try and hit it the next one. That's pretty much all I have on that. So just stay level headed. It's golf. It's supposed to be fun. So try and keep it that way. So
I think Carter brought up a good point, 2 good points. After that, it was pretty clear there were some early round jitters, especially at the mines for Dan, and we started ironing those out, and then Diamond Spring, same thing, a little bit of pre-round jitters, but once you get going, it's like you're good enough to get past those jitters, and that's when takeoff happens. At least last year also, the other point that Carter brought up was the dots. Sitting where you were last year, I mean, I have no reason to believe that you're any less talented than those guys sitting up at the 5, 6, 7 handicaps. The nice part is you get some dots added with that handicap, and I mean, like we've talked about, you can hit them with the best of them. So I think there's a lot of fun coming with Dan next year. I think next year, once those jitters are out, it's Kickstart number 2 for the kid. I don't see any reason why he can't go nuclear.
Real high ceiling for Dan. And before we brush past it too far, Dan mentioned Esser's round, and in round 4, he lost 6.75 strokes to the field there. That was by far his worst round. It was the only round that he had negative strokes gained. And, somebody that played against him in round 1, he gained 6.75 strokes on the field and had the second best round by strokes gained of anyone for the entire week. So he was hot the first 3 days for sure. Dan caught him on an off day, and he put the pedal down. So, it's something for sure, like you're saying, Kyle, for Dan to get a few extra shots than those guys, but he can still kind of hit almost all the shots. He's just going to have he's got a little bit of a lower floor, but he's got a real high ceiling too. So that's like I was saying before, a guy like me who's not getting dots out there, having a guy that's going to get a few and be able to make some birdies and turn them into net eagles and make a handful of pars and for net birdies is real attractive partner, especially when he's going to maximize the number of dots he's going to get, right?
So before we move on, we do have to talk about arguably the most iconic part of last year's trip. Second round of Rattling the Bog.
Oh yeah. I thought
We did round one.
I thought you were gonna say hole 9, round 2 at Diamond Springs, but all right, we'll go there.
No. Second round of Rattling the Bog. Round one completed successfully. We all
Great
thought we
song.
could do round 2.
We could.
Round 2 starts, Dan. Kind of run me through play-by-play of what you're thinking, and then Carter, we'll switch to you when you see Dan run out. But Dan, run us through your play-by-play.
Let me jump in real quick, because I think right between round 1 and round 2, Dan and I were sitting next to each other, and we gave each other a look like this. We're having a volume issue right now already before this round even starts. And the kind of look that he gave me and looked back and he looked down and he was ready to give it his all. He wasn't going to sell out for the whole, for the trip. He was going all in.
So before we talk about Rattling the Bog, I'd like to lead off with the fact that we played 36 holes of golf that day.
We did.
And your boy crushed a whole Little Caesars pizza.
Give him all the information, Dan. We got to know the upfront costs for sure.
So yeah, whole Little Caesars pizza. Our beer of choice for rattling was Summer Shandy. Rough bog rattling beer, I will say.
Thick, effervescent.
Kyle, you're a big IPA guy. I don't know how you made it through that alive, but it takes some rocks.
Faking it, likely.
I don't know about all that. You got to look at me, fella.
Switch to Labatt, I think. And I think the second round I was a little further towards the back of the song. And one thing led to another, and there was a volume issue. It all had to go somewhere, so it went outward.
Did you have the thought, the presence of mind in your head to go outside or bathroom or sink, or were you going first possible location that wasn't in the living room?
The closest smart option was a bathroom or outside, and I was sitting closest to the front door, I believe. So outside it was. Yeah. So there you go.
Carter, you see Dan walk out. He walked out cool and calm, I might add. Dan he walked out there. He was cool.
It was a jog.
Yeah, Dan didn't give anything away.
He didn't give much away. He could have been going out there to get a little golf ball, get another beer. He brought a lot of beer last year. He could have been wanting more. Carter, you see him get up. You knew immediately. It just took you a minute. Run us through your end of what happened in that moment.
Yeah, it's something that was brought up to me upon arriving here at Miami. Our team here, we go by one simple rule, and that's no one Chundies alone. When you participate in this kind of event and these kinds of off-course antics, that it's bound to get out of hand every once in a while. But the last thing anyone wants to be is too many sets of eyes on them while they're flying the brown dragon. So I brought it to the group and said, we got to buy in here as the conductors, and no one is going to have to go through that by themselves. So when Dan got up and went out that front door, and I saw him bend over off those brick steps, I knew someone had to do something. Set my high noon down and started high stepping it outside. Doing the only thing I thought I could do and try to induce some Chundy myself, and unfortunately I was unsuccessfal. No matter how hard I tried, and I have to live with that every day, knowing that I let Dan go. But at the same time, I felt that I at the very least took some of the distraction away, or took some distraction and some attention away from Dan, as I was damn near tasting my elbow right in the ring camera at that Airbnb.
Yeah, Dan, give us a little insight. Did you have did you make note of where that camera was located when you took that last step outside, or was it just by happenstance that you were on the opposite side of the door of that camera?
I 100% had no time to locate the camera.
Yeah.
For future trips, that'll be probably one of the first things I do before I find a room to sleep in. I'll be locating the cameras for future potential Chundy footage. I believe my captain may have done a good job of blocking any sort of projectile. So the ring camera footage definitely has him elbow deep. But yeah, it was not my best moment, but hey, I got through the whole process. I felt immediately better. Went back inside, right back on the horse. That's all you can do. So
Absolutely. Able to complete his turn too. I want it noted in the record. Did not miss his turn. Right? Pulled some attention away for sure. And I think really I know that it wasn't Carter's directive to pull the attention, but the way he left the room may have slightly pulled more attention outside. But Dan was able to make it back in before his next turn and was able to complete the rotation. Very, very inspiring stuff.
Mama didn't raise no quitter.
So. Absolutely. The way that Carlisle Frazier would have wanted as well, might I add.
Absolutely.
As we all know, we end the show with a Founders Brewed for Us segment, but we just wanted to say, Dan, thank you again for joining us, and thank you for the player profile, Justin and Carter. Dan, I'm excited to have you back next year, and I'm hoping we can get a couple more rounds in together. Carter, kick us off for the Founders Brewed for Us segment.
Yeah, this final segment is brought to you by Founders, and much like many of Founders' decadent and delightful craft brews, this one's for us. So if you don't want to hear about it, hit the road. All right, hit the red X, hit the back arrow, moving on.
Go watch one of my other videos.
Like and subscribe on your way out.
Kick it back, like and subscribe, and right before we move on, I want to, as we were talking about rattling the bog, it's been a hot topic as of late. Dan, in his response to Brendan's questionnaire, has announced that he will be switching to Team Twisted Tea for bog rattling moving forward.
Really?
Yes, and
his personal favorite. He's decided that the carbonation is something that he can do without, and honestly, Dan, I want you to take this time to really sell the folks at home and try to recruit as many people as you can.
Masterful strategic move for sure.
I mean, if you're gonna bring in that much volume and eat that much prior, you got to combat that with a non-carbonated beverage. You just have to. I mean, maybe it's my weak stomach, but I can definitely put down some food. So as we talked about, the carbonation was a little much for the belly here. So
it's taking up space. Those bubbles, people don't think about it, but those bubbles count in that volume number.
Absolutely. So the old indoor Tuesday night golf team up here in TC at X Golf, we go by the Twisted Teas, little golf tee pun there, and yeah, I usually have a couple per round. They're delicious. Coming to Kickstart 2024, the Twisted Tea Light Variety Pack will be making an appearance. You won't just have the old original Twisted Tea Light. You'll have some flavors in there as well. So a little diversity. It's going to be a good year. Year of the Twisted Tea, I guess.
I like it.
What are your thoughts about the Twisted Tea in a bag? Could we see a potential rattle the bog, slap the bag combo?
The Twisted Tea bag will also be making an appearance. If you thought I was gonna gonna just match last year's beer inventory, you'll be mistaken. We will be increasing. Minimize on the cans. Also getting rid of a lot of cans, a lot of loose returnables and stuff. You don't have to worry about any of that. You just slap the bag and throw it away. It's good. It's good for business.
We are dialing in our process here with unnamed sponsor Alliance Beverage here. Probably the only actual sponsor of this podcast, and they don't have any official sponsorship time in here, but we know where our bread's buttered at. That's for sure. That's for sure.
Absolutely. So
I will Ed, I've gone over this in my head a little bit myself. Is the transfusion is known to be the golf beverage. It takes that number 2 spot, likely right behind that Arnold Palmer. I'm thinking about maybe the big old half-gallon thermos makes an appearance in the back of my cart at this Kickstart.
That's bold, I will say.
It's something it's going to keep. It's because there's nothing worse. I'm not a pedal down on the course kind of guy. So there's nothing worse than getting back to the cart and it's been 15 minutes or so up by the green. Cart sit in the sun. You get back and your beer's warm. So that's just something that I've been milling over in my head. If you don't like it, you should have probably clicked the X a long time ago.
I will say, Cart, I'm definitely a guy that needs a couple during the round just to stay loose. Don't need to get hammered out there. That's not good for anyone or anything, but I usually have a system, beer every couple holes. It's like a beer every 3 holes. Very, very doable. If I find a way to keep it cold the whole time, perfect. Save all that drinking for when we get back together at the end of the day. But it's more just to take the edge off, stop me from shanking it into bushes and stuff like that. So
yeah, I mean, you got to respect it. There's that's part of the difficulty I've seen playing with and against Preston is that birdie juice is unavoidable. And then potentially when he's down a couple holes, all of a sudden it turns into net birdie juice as well. And he's trying to put the pressure on you.
That Preston guy too. If you birdie a hole, birdie juice. You're maybe a couple holes up. He'll try and give you birdie juice when you least expect it to try and bring you back down too. So it's a craft.
Bogey juice.
I get it.
Well, I think so. Let's not dive too in depth on that because when we get to Preston, when we get to his player profile, we'll mull over his record and maybe point to some things that are that he's using to his advantage because he's got quite a good record and we'll get into that in a future episode. Kyle, why don't you help us wrap this up? Let's get out of here. Let the people go.
Absolutely. I mean, Dan. Yeah, I gotta eat dinner. Dan, I appreciate you joining us. 1-time champion. I'm excited to bring you back next year. I'm excited to hopefully be on the same team as you. And if I gotta face you, it'll be a pleasurable round of gentlemen and probably some birdie juice. I like what Preston's brought to the table in that sense. But Carter, Justin, appreciate you guys joining me, helping me get so prepared with this, and you guys obviously writing up these player profiles. It's been awesome. It's been a lot of fun. Until next time, fellas. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys.
Appreciate
you later, pal.
boys. Thanks. I'm excited to see
Thank you to the board of trustees as well. We would be remiss.
Thanks to Alliance Beverage.
Alliance Beverage, Dunham Sports, hunting, fishing, loving every day. Use code
All right, guys.
Kickstart 20.
All right.
See you.
Next
order. See you guys.